Hi there, my name is Brontén. I'm the founder of Membrain. Do you know what makes me really upset? That's when I ask someone, why did you do it that way? And they say, I don't know, that's just the way I've always done it, or that's the way we do it around here. Because that's not the mindset we can have today as modern salespeople and modern sales teams. So let me share with you the founding story of Membrain. And it sort of starts with my life motto, which is that you have to challenge the mainstream. You can't settle with the mainstream any longer. You have to be smarter than that. And not settling with mainstream led to me starting a company 2 decades ago called Upstream. And I'm sharing this because we did a big shift in how we were selling, right? We were selling pretty transactional products in the beginning to resellers, IT resellers. And then we shifted over to really started helping these resellers in how they went about doing their business. So we could help them automate the business. We can help them become more profitable. And when we did that, we sold them tools that were a lot more complex. And that order value went from $150 to $65,000. More people were involved, longer sales cycles were involved. So it just became a very different way of selling. And it was when I was starting to scale this up by hiring salespeople that I sort of didn't do a very good job. So I fired salespeople and I hired salespeople. I hired salespeople and I fired salespeople. And so it went, hired and fired quite a bit. And this was very costly, of course, and emotionally straining on everyone involved. So I had to start to think about the reason. What was the actual problem? What was the root cause that made me not able to scale this sales team? Was it that I was hiring the wrong recruiters? I had all kinds of excuses why this was not working. But I finally found the problem, and it was, of course, me. Yeah, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing to make this work. So then I started to really question myself. So what was it that I was doing that made me do all these mistakes? And my conclusion was that I held a few very faulty assumptions. First off, I thought that salespeople can sell, right? If you've sold for someone else, you can sell for my company. Of course, salesperson is something you're born to be. You either have it or you don't. I also thought that salespeople had some kind of innate discipline. They would just do whatever it took to reach those targets that I had set up for them. And I thought that CRM systems were there to help them sell and become better salespeople. These were not true, and if you hold these beliefs and assumptions, they're not true. So I like this quote by Isaac Asimov, who says that assumptions are like your window to the world, right? You have to scrub them once in a while, clean them up so you can see clearly. And that's really important because what I also realized was that the world of selling is polarizing, right? So in this new world we're living in, it's either becoming very transactional, so you can sell products online, you can fire all your salespeople if you're Amazon.com, but it's also becoming more complex. If you're in a B2B sales environment and you're selling a complicated product or a solution or services, you're in a crowded space and everyone online to the buyer looks the same. So getting out there and selling your products is actually becoming more and more complex if you're in that type of selling environment, which we were in Upstream, and the problem I was facing. So I started to read everything I could about selling. I read all the books on sales methodology, sales process, behavioral economics. I joined a bunch of networks, studied NLP, etc., right? And really came to the conclusion that I was not doing a good job in enabling my salespeople to succeed, right? So, and what does that mean really, enabling someone to do a good job? Well, I think we have to define the way we should go about selling, and that entails a lot of things, of course, but getting your process down, getting your way of working down, getting the right types of skills out there so that your salespeople know what to do and have that right attitude, and then continually coach salespeople. So because I'm a sales guy and a software nerd, I wanted to find a product to do this, but I wasn't really able to. So that was really the birth of the idea that became Membrain. Another thing that I learned was that I was teaching people a lot. So maybe I teach them the wrong things, but basically I came to this conclusion, and this quote sort of captures it well, which was that I could teach them forever, but unless they start behaving in a new way, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna drive the change I want, right? So this quote is really nice. You should give them the tools that when they start using those tools, they'll start thinking in the new way you want them to think. So that was really a strong influencer on me. So the solution I came up to was, okay, why can't I just use the CRM? I had a CRM at the time, but I realized that they were basically based on those same faulty assumptions, right? Salespeople know how to sell. They're disciplined. They should just log what they've done and let's see how much they do. It's like, nah, not really good. So I think because of that reason, they've become graveyards of information, right? Just very expensive Rolodexes. They don't really guide you. They don't enable you. They don't coach you. So they're not good enough, basically. So I read a really good book as well from Atul Gawande, who's a surgeon. And one of his conclusions was, we're not built for discipline. Human beings are not good at discipline. We have to work on that. So they introduced checklists for surgeons and reduced the number of deaths with 47%. So I highly recommend you to read this book. And I've actually done a webinar on it, so how it relates to selling. So I came to the conclusion that we have to sort of systemize and do a better job in explaining and enabling how to sell in our sales environment, right? And the four sort of pillars of this that I think are super important that can be supported by technology and Membrain is that we have to make it easy to map out and follow the best practices and the sales process. And if you don't like sales process, replace the word with something else. Call it workflows, call it playbooks or whatever. But make sure that your salespeople know what to do and don't skip important things, right? Because that's key here. Also, we have to enable the skills. So the training content that we have should be inside of the workflows that the salespeople use, right? Because if you just send them to a training and think they're gonna come back and just execute, it never happens, right? Because we forget very quickly. I'm not saying it's wrong to do training, absolutely not, that's perfect. But then you have to put that training into action, into the execution, into the process and the workflows that your salespeople use. So the enablement content, the training, the collateral that you want them to share with customers, all of that should be inside of these workflows. I also thought it was pretty difficult to coach people if I didn't have the data. And a lot of CRMs had like really nice pie charts and speedometers and stuff, but I just wanted to see the trend lines. How is this person trending compared to his or her goals or his colleagues? So seeing trend lines over time helps sales managers hone in on how to increase effectiveness and who to coach about what and when. And also we need a more holistic perspective on this. Like, how effective are we as a team or as a company when it comes to selling? What's our win rates? What's the win-loss analysis? What does it tell us? Where do we lose deals? Do we win deals a lot in a particular industry, or do we fail a lot when we're up against a specific competitor? All of this you need to know. So data is super important for you to continually improve everything. So if you get all this right, and this was basically the conclusion of the product we built with Membrain, if you can encompass how you sell into a system like this, you're going to increase your effectiveness massively. So this is the mission we're on to elevate the sales profession. And my name is George Brontén. I'm the founder and CEO of Membrain. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so please find me there, hook up with me, ask me any questions you would like. We would, of course, love to show you Membrain to see how we can help you improve sales effectiveness. And also, I've written a sales effectiveness manifesto that you might be interested in. So just go to saleseffectivenessmanifesto.com. And if you want to see Membrain and what we've built over the years, just go to membrain.com, hit book a demo, and we do look forward to speaking with you. Have a fantastic day.